Hi, I'm Cindy with Earth Science Resources, and today we're speaking with Will Middlebrook. He is a data scientist at Wood Mackenzie.
My name is Will Middlebrook. I'm a data scientist at Wood Mackenzie. My background is in sedimentary geology, particularly Martian polar dunes. That's what I studied in grad school, and doing data science now. So day to day, the job can look pretty different, but the kind of overarching theme is using data to make an impact on the business. So that starts with coming up with some hypotheses, working with stakeholders, subject matter experts to think about, what an objective would be for the project. And then after that's done, it's all about getting the data into shapes. That's working with data engineers to, get different access to different databases, kind of combine that into a data pipeline. Some of this stuff sounds a little bit boring, but it's actually probably the most important part of the project, because if you get the data right, everything else just kind of almost falls into place. So that's kind of the first part. And then the next part is, I guess, more of the fun part. So once you have the data massaged into shape, kind of cleaned up, you can start to do some statistical plotting, maybe some algorithmic modeling if it's necessary. So it's predictive and statistical analytics on the data. And then once that's done, if it's like a proof of concept or something, you can come up with your error metrics, go back to your stakeholders, present what you showed, and then decide whether you want to move forward with the project. So it might be something where you just present the results to management. It's like, oh, here's what I found. That would be kind of more on the inferential side. Or it might be something where it's like, okay, we actually need to develop a product based on this. So what we're going to do is we have a proof of concept. Now we're going to go back to engineering teams and get them to integrate this into some sort of real-time live type system so that we can get these predictions on a rolling basis. So there's, I would say there's applicability across all domains. So everything from subsurface geoscience to really all the commodities. We're working in metals, mining, power, renewables, hoping to start working on some projects in with satellite type imagery. So yeah, that's kind of the life cycle of the project. And then as a data scientist, I kind of work across all of those domains. I go way back to the beginning. My grandparents lived in the hill country, and I would go, they had a couple acres there with a creek bed on their property. So I would go and collect fossils, these little like limestone fossils on their property ever since I was a little kid. My mom was always like, you should think about being a geologist. And it never really, I was like, what do they like? Is that a real thing? Like, do they work for National Park Service, which would be cool, but like, is that all there is? You know what I mean? Like, I don't, do they do anything besides that? I don't know. So I kind of forgot about that, went to college, always had in my head, like, oh, I'm going to go into law. There were like a couple lawyers in my family. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to, go to law school. Nothing against lawyers, but I took an intro to geology class to meet a science prerequisite. I think it was, oh my goodness, it was second semester sophomore year. Okay, so I was already like almost halfway done with college. Took the first exam and did pretty well on it, was enjoying it, the mineral identification, all that stuff. And the professor wrote on my exam, we should talk. And so I went to his office and he gave me the geology pitch. I was like, this is cool. I really like this, but it would be crazy to change majors now, right? But I did. So I took this crazy decision and changed majors halfway through college, essentially. And so did all the geo classes in the back half of college. I hadn't taken all the supporting science classes. So we're talking, I hadn't taken chem, calc, physics, et cetera. So I had to take those like at a junior college in the summers and concurrently to, get caught up and everything. But anyways, had a blast. I mean, it's just an amazing major. Made a ton of friends, the after hours type labs and stuff. It's like, you just don't, it's a very unique experience. But so anyways, graduated. I was getting married, and my now wife told me for grad school, she was like, I'll go anywhere in the US, just not to Texas. So sure enough, I didn't apply to any schools in Texas. But my then to be grad advisor was moving to a tenure track position at Texas A&M. He was like, "Do you want to come with?" And I was like, "Oh, yep, I'm going to Texas A&M." So we ended up in Texas A&M. Had a good time there. Was doing work on Martian polar dunes, kind of understanding the sedimentology over time of Mars, kind of up in the polar region. It was great. I mean, I had a blast doing that. Absolutely loved it. Some of the proudest work I've done in my life was for sure that thesis. But anyways, kind of the I guess it was the oil industry recruiters were rolling through that first year that I was there. I didn't even actually know that like what recruiting was or anything. I missed a couple of them. But someone was like, "Hey, you should do this." So, anyways, I did the recruiting cycle, got hired on at Marathon Oil, and then started full time the subsequent year. So for those who don't know, so I interned 2014, started 2015. So between those years, quite a change in industry from like the peak highs to the trough of despair. So it was quite a rude awakening starting during those times. But they did bring me on, and I will forever be grateful that they honored their offer. So anyways, yeah, started at Marathon Oil, was in their subsurface group. I guess I realized pretty quickly that kind of some of the traditional geoscience techniques that I'd been learning in school, very applicable to, I would say, like very sparse data sets where you have a few data points, you're using models to kind of interpolate between them to understand the system, kind of using first principles of geology. So I was working unconventional. So it's kind of the reverse problem where you have a ton of data, huge multidimensional space. Everyone's kind of got their pet theories about what's driving the system. That was kind of yelling at me like, this is a statistical modeling problem. So I actually did not code at all in grad school. So I was very late to the game. And I asked my boss at the time, Randy Daniels, if he would support me doing a data science boot camp to get up to speed on like coding in Python and stuff like that. And he did, and it was great and really helpful. Started implementing some of those workflows on the job. Ended up getting moved to an analytics, a corporate role, and doing that for a period of time where we were doing predictive modeling to kind of like understand how geology plus engineering results in a particular outcome for a well. And then ended up moving to Wood Mackenzie, I guess it was like a year and a half ago, which has been great. So yeah, while there, have been able to branch out into different areas of data science. So Wood Mac does not just oil and gas, but it's big into the energy transitions. We've got power and renewables, we've got metals and mining, commodity, short-term commodity type analytics and all that stuff. So that's what I've been doing here, kind of broadening out my scope, and then excited about, what's ahead in the future. My advice, I think the first thing I would say would be to just enjoy the ride a little bit more. Nobody can control the outcome. All you can control is the inputs. And if you're, putting in the work and doing what you can, that's it. That's what you need to be doing. And then just, enjoy the process. The second thing would be, I think, to get to know the people around you. You have no idea what the person sitting next to you in class is going to be doing 10 years from now. Not only is it probably good to just like meet people, but also just from like your future career perspective. Like I found the most surprising people are doing the most surprising things. And you never know, like maybe you're going to go start a business with one of these people. Maybe you're going to reconnect and they're going to be your manager. You're going to be their manager or whatever. So just meeting people, getting to know them is definitely a good thing. And then I don't know if it's advice per se, but this sounds like trite. I don't know, self-help, but you can do it. You can't. Like if I'm a data scientist, look, I came to this game so late compared to most people. You can do it. You can, if you need to acquire some math skills, you can do that. If you need to learn how to code, you can do that. So yeah, definitely, just go for it.